Herzlich willkommen. Welcome to our joint media spot of the Chamber of Commerce and RAILTARGET, leading Czech railway medium, on Logistic and Transport exhibition in Munich after 4 years. And we have a focus on digital automatic coupling. I introduce our guests on our media spot in alphabetical order. Jan Elfenhorst, General Manager for Germany and Regional Director for Central and East, LINEAS GmbH. Matthias Knüpling, Head of Industry Lobbying Association and Head of Contract and Procurement Governance of VTG Rail Europe GmbH. And lady alphabetic Veronica Petrova from Czech Republic, Chief Sales Officer of Rail Clinic, Vice President of Rail Clinic, which is need a little bit more presentation. Service from North Sea to the West Balkan, Black Sea and East and West, in services and support, in mobile fitting of rail freight transport. I would like to start by asking of all of you around our round table to give our readers and listeners your overall view of the modernization and efficiency of rail freight transport today, and what place digitalization should have in it. And because digital automatic coupling is central and leading pan-European project, which is set and become a certain game changer in rail freight transport. But it is also biggest rail project of the decades, last decades, perhaps of the century. Around 500,000 wagons in Europe. I don't know LINEAS or VTG how much. And therefore the project will affect not only the rail carriers, but also infrastructure, logistic, Rangierbahnhof, logistic chains. We have yesterday a discussion with BASF and IKEA and Arcelor. Manufacturing companies are slowly prepared themselves, and to future qualification process of staff. It was my introduction. I please Jan Elfenhorst, what is your point of view of modernization of railway freight transport? What is needed?
First of all, many thanks that I'm able to join here. It's really a great honor to be connected and not only answer your questions, but also sitting with the two colleagues here next to mine, which of course are in the same sector. We are exchanging a lot. A couple of words about, first of all, as you asked myself, a couple of words about LINEAS, and then a couple of words about modernization and innovation in rail freight. So me personally, I was studying logistics, and the funny thing at the beginning of the story is I honestly never wanted to work in rail. I studied logistics, and I don't know if you know that there's the so-called curve of industrialization in logistics that shows you how parcel services are digitalized, industrialized, so an UPS parcel from A to B is everywhere in the world the same. While if you go down the curve, there's rail. Not industrialized, sorry to say, at all. I'm overdoing it a little bit, but that's the way it is. So I learned the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement, but I have to admit in rail it's even bigger. That's the reason why I'm here, and I really enjoy that, and we have a lot to do. And at the end of the intro, I come back to the why. LINEAS, as such, is Europe's biggest private rail freight operator. We have been before B Cargo, the government-owned incumbent in Belgium. We privatized that company, and we showed that also privatization and non-government ownership is part of the answer to your question. But it's really a high-level discussion which has to take place. But I think entrepreneurship is part and starting point of innovation. So we are now indeed, again, a European player. And the good thing is we do conventional and intermodal. So I can somehow answer that question also from both perspectives. Innovation in rail. Innovation in rail, when I joined the sector, I had the feeling it's the land of dinosaurs. So we still were sending faxes around. Digitalization is often called Excel or Word, MS Office. In a nutshell, a lot of things to do. And that brings me a little bit back to the point. I think a lot of things have been innovated. And before modal shift and innovation, it starts with mind shift. Mind shift, mindset of people have to change. Before that, nothing will happen in the sector. And after that, of course, there are a lot of projects. And Matthias will not be completely happy about hearing that. Automated coupling is an important one. But if you ask me personally, also after COVID, unfortunately, as we are not tax paid, we are customer paid, we have to earn money. It's not really on the very top of our agenda because we have to earn money back. And we have things like digital platform, digital capacity management, timetable redesign. So a lot of these more ETCS, European-wide, big wish of all our rail freight industry. These are the things higher on our prio, nevertheless. And with that I'm closing. I'm a big fan of any kind of innovation. My personal business quote is coming from the US, Herbert Henry Dow. If you can't do it better, why do it? So automated coupling we should have started 20 years ago already. It's a pity that it took that long to really do the first step. And even if I'm sitting here a little bit between the chairs, being responsible for LINEAS, profitability key, we have to earn the money back. Standing for the sector, I'm full stop behind. But that's a little bit sitting behind two chairs. So again, thanks a lot. And Matthias, if I may hand over to you.
Yep.
Jan Elfenhorst, thank you very much. Digital automatic coupling, game changer, or?
Before we come to that, probably some words to me, Matthias Knüpling, working for more than 30 years with VTG. I didn't do anything else but VTG, so but this shows how great this company is, that it is worth to work for this for more than 3 decades. So VTG, Europe's #1 private wagon leasing companies, active all over Europe, but also offering logistic services, also offering traction with our small but nice railway company RETRAC, also active in Slovakia, for example.
I just met them.
Very good. So the full bunch of logistic services is offered by VTG. But we do not focus only on our own services. We are also trying to be a driver for the progress of rail freight transport. So my current job for VTG since almost 3 years now is to do lobbying, to work in all the associations, Europe-wide, national-wide, and to try to improve the political framework for rail freight transport. And we are when it comes to modernization, we are now at the edge. So when I listened to you, I remember my very first days in VTG, where we only had one computer for the whole department. We were with 10 people, and only one had a personal computer. Windows was not invented at that time, beginning of the 90s.
Exactly.
There was a kind of Word, a kind of Excel, but so the previous versions. So this is where we started 30 years ago. And where are we now? Where are we today?
Yeah.
When you see my last LinkedIn post, I showed you what we are showing outside. A dual power locomotive, an innovative wagon for modular solutions, an electrified double pocket wagon. So completely other types of wagons where we started with. VTG was many years known as rail tanker lessor all over. And this has changed, but we are now at the edge that we, with what we have achieved so far, are not competitive enough, and now I speak for the whole sector, but not for VTG. We are not competitive enough as rail freight sector to survive. It sounds a bit dramatic, but probably here it's the right place to be a bit dramatic. It's a little bit. We have to work to survive. We will not die. Rail freight transport will always exist, but if we do not progress, if we do not digitalize the whole system, then our market share will shrink over time, and there will only dedicated transport routes survive, but the majority will disappear and can only be covered by road transport. And the congestion on our motorways, you know better than me. Yesterday, I followed a discussion around combined transport, and there was a graph shown from a terminal for combined transport, and some spots where they already have digitalized the entry of the lorry, the digital steering of the crane, and there was also shown the train who is bringing containers in and taking containers out. And surprisingly, there was no small box, the digitalized wagon. So in the whole supply chain, the rail freight transport is currently not seen, not identified as digitalized. And this we have to change. Not only with the digital automatic coupler, I'm fully with you, Jan, ECTS, the DAC, other topics, so the full digital freight train operation. This is the headline of the overall project. This we have to achieve, and there is the DAC, only one jigsaw piece next to various different others.
Matthias Knüpling, thank you very much for this contextualization. There is only one European transportation market, and this surviving is not only that it's concurrentship in the rail sector, but you are competitors between road, and you need intermodal between Binnen- and Wasserstraßen, so river transport and railways to improve all this part of supply chain. Veronica Petrova, services, pan-European services company.
I'm very happy for you to have me in here, especially with Jan and Matthias. With the host company, we are working for many years already, and we are happy to be at your service. On the other hand, we are also, regarding the coupling, we are watching it from distance, and we are waiting for some statements. And we see the division all around Europe. One are very much in favor of the coupling.
Yeah.
The other part of Europe says without money we can't do anything.
Exactly.
So exactly what you were talking about. And the thing is that from our perspective as a repair company, we feel that we are not that much in the discussion. And we would be the ones who will have to help you with the transformation of your fleet. And of course, after it will be transformed, we will be probably the ones who will have to make repairs on the couplings. And it's a whole new system from very, let's say, easy machine, which the wagons are now. We are moving towards digitalization, and our technicians, our staff, will have to have another training to be able to perform the services for you.
Of course.
So it's not that we should wait until the Europe decides which way we will go, whether it will be some subsidies, some subsidies or not. We have to start to train our staff immediately. That's why we started already speaking with some of our customers to do the first steps to know what we will do. It's something which everyone thinks it will come in the future. We have to wait some years to have the automatic coupling, and that it's still some time. But actually, 3 months ago, we had first wagon with automatic coupling in our workshop in Ostrava. Of course, we were not performing any works on it, but it was the first time when we actually saw it in our workshop, and we have to deal with the situation.
People thought it's pink elephant.
Yeah, something like that. I really thought that we will not see it, but maybe in 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah, it's something, especially in such a, let's say, rigid and old-fashioned industry as the railways were. So it's not an easy task, and definitely in the situation when it's in some countries almost impossible to get good technicians. If we are talking about finding technician also with knowledge of how to work with electronic devices.
Exactly.
It's not a task you would be able to do in 6 months. You have to hire them, you have to train them, you have to retrain your staff. Also from the perspective of ECM, you have to make changes in your internal system, in your technological proceedings, etc. It's something, if we are talking about 2 to 5 years perspective in which we have to be prepared for that.
Thank you very
So
much.
we would be happy if the Europe would finally decide, so we at least have some time schedule, we know how to work with it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you very much. You helped me in moderation. I have a following question for you, but this is in logic. Now I need Jan Elfenhorst and Matthias.
I would also like to react on.
And
on
Matthias
on-
Knüpling, really, how important is this timing of project, right, in terms of these different stages, sequence of steps? And let me ask you another way. How can the wrong phasing of the introducing of digital automatic coupling and preparation can affect negatively railway transport companies, but complete logistic chains can destroy. Jan.
I mean, I guess for that answer, nobody should have had to study. I mean, it's just a logical sequencing of things. 2 answers to your question. First of all, an old Chinese proverb says, every journey starts with the first step. So you either only talk, as you say, or you start walking. And I think one of the disadvantages of our sector is that we are quite often a talking sector. Back to also government ownership, we have nice phrases, a lot of stories, but we have to walk. So first thing. Second thing, if you renovate an old castle, you should have a plan to do that. And I'm not saying, but even thinking, that rail is a little bit an old castle, so which has to be renovated. But you have to have a master plan for that. And I fully agree with you. We need that from an international framework perspective, also from an, let's say, who does pay the bill perspective. That's also important. But also from a perfect technical sequencing. And I can only answer, but again, always keep in mind, Matthias, that I'm not saying wait. I'm not saying wait, but sequence. Do it with the right prioritization.
Yes.
If I wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock, the first time the cell phone rings, everything is, by the way, digitalized. Let's use that more often. We have other priorities in order to run our trains better. So again, the whole story, I'm not going to repeat that. Let's have that master plan. I think we have that. There are also communities like the Güterbahn in Deutschland, like Rail Freight Forward, but also the other bodies like ERA, ERFA. Let's have one master plan. Let's have one master plan and then say these are the top 5 and these are the flop 5. So first of all, throw away the flop 5. We are spending too much time with the flop 5. Focus on the top 5 or top 10. Give it a sequencing, give it a good prioritization, and then let's get it started, let's get it done. And automated coupling can be a parallel process, but I have to admit ETCS or the other things I was mentioning, they are burning under my chair a little bit more. We have a plan ready. We are happy to share that, and let's walk the talk.
Okay.
Now we have food for 5 hours discussion after these.
May I ask for a beer?
These two statements.
This is a conference.
We
topic.
have
Yeah.
to meet separately.
No, first I would like to invite you, because we need you in the European project. Because the maintenance workshops are completely underrepresented in the European project. We have a lot of stakeholders in the project, the producers of the couplers, the wagon keepers, the local leasing companies, the authorities, universities, consultancies, whatnot. Western Europe is more represented than Eastern Europe. Northern Europe is more represented than Southern Europe. Okay, this is naturally driven. But who is missing to set up or to fine-tune the master plan, because we have a master plan, The master plan, the part of the master plan which is called migration scenario, in this we need the workshops, and exactly for all the reasons you have just mentioned. We need the resources, the infrastructure. We need people, and this is the highest priority. And we need new skilled people.
New qualification.
New qualification, but this is also the chance, because how to attract young people to work in railway business. Passenger transport is sexy, to use this word in hyphens, because this is digitalized, this is automatized. If you today ask someone, you have the choice, working for a company producing passenger coaches or producing rail freight cars. What do you believe would be the decision? But for the rail freight business, for maintaining, for producing, the digitalization is also a chance to attract new joiners. But this is also a mind shift. You have said this in the beginning. This is also the major challenge in this. All of us, we are busy in the rail freight sector. We need a mind shift.
Yep.
And all what you said is fully correct. All these topics have to be solved. And if you join us in the Working Party 3 in the EDTP, I do not know any individual association who is representing the maintenance workshops. In Germany, in VPI, the maintenance workshops are engaged mainly because then they get the European maintenance guide a bit less, or have to pay a bit less than if they would buy it without being a VPI member. But I do not know a European umbrella association like UIP, for example.
I don't think there is.
For the workshops. And we have made several approaches to invite representatives of the maintenance workshops. So if you are interested in joining, we can discuss this in more detail later. But this would help us much more to understand your needs. It is much better that you discuss and bring in your ideas, your questions, your challenges to be solved in this European project than to discuss this face-to-face with 6, 7, 8 of your customers individually. Because to be honest, your customers also do not know yet what will really happen, because this is currently still prepared in the EDTP to fine-tune the master plan. We know also our priorities. And yes, if you ask the sector, one group sets the priorities in another order than other stakeholders, which is totally clear. At the end, we do it either all together or we don't do it. And we need to do it all together. This is my personal belief. And I am sure that at the end, everyone will be satisfied with the outcome. And with the migration scenario, it is a plan over 6 years, and we will start somewhere and we will end somewhere. Where we will start is not decided yet. Where we will end is not decided yet. Will we end with the combined transport? Will we end in Poland? Will we end with the wagons of Volkswagen in Wolfsburg? Nobody knows it yet because we haven't fine-tuned this part of the master plan. So, asking for money, then those where we want money from, they ask, okay, for what do you want? You want the money. As the technical product is not finally developed, the wagons you have seen, I believe it's a DAC for U train, which entered Czech and Slovakia, and just to showcase where the current development status is. But these are still prototypes. It is not the final series.
Yeah.
We are not finished with electricity. We are not finished with digitization. And now coming back to your first question, the time. What is the time schedule? The time schedule is that we must not lose time by waiting on something. We have to solve several challenges in parallel. If we have a too long time schedule, we lose attraction. Policymakers will not listen any longer to us because they become impatient. What shall we do now? So we have continuously to solve all the challenges. We must not be lazy, but what will be the very end? We are not saying either we achieve it in 2030 or we stop with it. This is not the question. But we have to solve all these challenges step by step, and most of them in parallel. Otherwise we would need 30 years, which is way too long. But there is not the end date, and no one has to be afraid, okay, if I miss this end date, I will lose. No, this is not the target.
Thank you very much for this small bridge, Mr. Knüpling. And following question for RailTarget.
I'm sorry, can I react to Matthias?
Yes, you offer fast and mobile repairs all over Europe, and this is very my specific point. You have unique insight into how technical failures in transport companies and defect can affect the economics of rail, and other words, quickly repair can save and is crucial element of economic efficiency of transportation. How do you see DAC from this perspective? And this is now my following question. And
I will firstly react on Matthias.
and thank you for invitation in this European project.
I wanted really big thanks from our side, because we feel that in the end it will be us who will do it, and you are deciding something for us without us.
This is
in
what we not.
In a way, yeah.
Exactly, this is what we not want.
Exactly. So thank you once again, and I will be happy to join the platform. So
Very good.
thanks. On the other hand, when we were discussing the deadline, I also wanted to mention one thing, and that is that I'm a little bit afraid that if we will put one strict deadline, which of course some deadline is needed, then we are facing the same situation like with the LL retrofitting.
Yeah, exactly.
When everyone was lazy, there was enough time, and then there were not enough time and not enough capacities. So that's one thing which also every wagon keeper has to keep in mind, that the capacities will have some limits, and we will have to count with that.
Fully agree.
And as of your question, the quick service is actually basic philosophy why we are doing mobile service, so that it doesn't have to go into workshop, and it spares time for our customers and spares their money. On the other hand, we also will be it will be necessary to think from technical point of view whether we will be able to install the coupling mobilely. It has to be. I think it has to be one of the options, because I can't imagine that all of the wagons would need to go to a workshop. But then we have to think about, we will be doing some electrical installation. So we will have to come with a different solution, maybe some tents, to find a spot where will be able to do so. So lots of practical things which are not yet fully decided. As you mentioned, we are still working or seeing prototypes, but these questions are really necessary for repair companies.
We are renovating an old castle.
What is your recommendation, LINEAS and VTG? Now, this moment, this black box overview of wagons in different companies. What is, for example, in your company, how many wagons are able to retrofit? How many wagons you need to sell outside of Europe? There is no DAC available to sell this outside. This economy of company in different models. What is DAC ready? What is retrofitted ready? And what is not?
I leave the floor to Matthias, because I think he is indeed the one who can give a broader overview on that.
And your recommendation in every company should be now started this process of overview.
Yes, why not? Because it is a hell of homework to be done. But also in this part of the master plan, we have in the European project, we have a working group where we currently establish create the data catalog we need from the wagons, the data we need from the wagons to decide which wagon can be, and please allow me not to use the word retrofitting. I prefer to talk about the word upgrading, because we do an upgrading from an analog wagon to a digital wagon. Retrofitting, the syllable retro is does not really help us to promote, and it's not the reality. And to become a little bit formal in the authorization procedures in Europe, the word retrofitting simply does not exist. So I prefer to use the word upgrading. And we are currently working to set up a data catalog which we want to provide to all the wagon keepers, and we have to do the same exercise also for the local keepers, that we collect the data necessary to identify the effort per wagon. What does it mean? Is it easy? Is it challenging? Is it probably impossible?
Exactly.
There might be some wagons, although the
especially in Eastern Europe.
Yes and no.
Yes.
We currently do not know. We assume, we expect, we guess, but we do not know the reality yet, and we have to work on it. So in this piece of the project, we developed this data catalog. This shall be then sent out to all the keepers, and we want to collect these data. And depending on the wagon type, depending on the age, depending on the producer, does the producer still exist? And we can ask the producer if he does not exist. Are there any drawings in the archives? And we want to collect these data in a neutral database to respect the confidence and the compliance, not to harm anyone. But it could be that one wagon keeper, that there is a batch of 500 wagons, which a producer purchased to several wagon keepers. And the one wagon keeper has documentation for this same set of wagon types, and the other does not. So why not using the data from the one wagon keepers put in this neutral database, and the other profits from that? Because at the end we have to sort this out all together, and then we will know the answer. How can we do this upgrade? And regarding the preparation, we experienced this with our M square wagon, which is presented outside in our own factory in Ilse, Wagon Graf. We put the feather package, the interior of the whole coupler system. We mounted it in the workshop. Then we put the screw coupler. The wagon was transported to Munich, and then the craftsman came and put in only a few minutes the coupler head in front of. Okay, there are no data lines, no electric cables, so the automatic coupler, but not the digital part. Nevertheless, you could showcase that you can do a part, the preparation, the DAC readiness in a stationary workshop, and the final fitting you can do in mobile workshops. And we hope that we can create as many mobile workshops as possible in refineries, in terminals, in harbors. I talked to the workshop in Antwerp just a few minutes ago. They can say, why not doing that? Yes, we will come to you. So this will then be the mix to do as much as possible stationary during the regular overhaul, or if the wagon has to be sent into the workshop anyhow, and to do the rest as much as possible in a mobile service, not to take out the wagons from the transport flows for a too long time.
Good. Following question. You will organize from all companies a central European database of wagons?
This is our idea, yes. This is our idea.
Not
on
only
a neutral basis.
Not only on company basis or member state basis, on whole European.
For the whole European, so there is we have the rolling stock reference database where wagon keepers and railway companies put in their information, where everyone can profit from. We have the general contract of use database, the GCU broker. So we have neutral data platforms already in place, accepted by almost everyone. And we want to act similarly, that no one has to be afraid that his sensitive data will be misused by somebody else. This is very important.
Sorry, but back to efficiency, because
Yes,
I
I know,
really have
I know,
to.
I
I mean,
I have
You
last
invited
question.
me to answer, so sorry.
no worries. No, but I mean, it's looking at the watch because I have to jump to another appointment. Is also somehow partly answer to your question. So, how much resources / money do I have available for how many projects? And that's why I highly appreciated what Matthias says. Data is anyhow the new money, so let's provide some kind of pooled data. But again, my answer here is I have, let's say, on the one hand side, to earn money. That means running trains. That means not spending time for nicey things left and right. And if you are somehow limited in your resources, I can do 10 projects, maybe 9, I don't know, but I can't do 20. And this is, I don't meant the master plan of DAC, I mean the general master plan. So DAC is one of my 20 projects I'm having on the table, and my day has 24 hours. So much appreciated, big support there, nice. But again, there are so many other priorities that I have to also spend time there. Otherwise, I can't run trains. My customers will not pay the invoice, and then we will have disappearing railway undertakings in traction. Traction rail is not money printing area, so and that's why that's part of the focus.
Yeah, but then let's split the resources. You focus on ETCS realization, I focus on DAC, and then we have one both.
And then we both have something, and I need a European master plan where we all say that's our master plan.
Yeah, but to be honest, you know the European landscape. You have countries with a very high market share of rail, and you have countries with a very low one. So how to convince those with, I don't know, 4, 5, 6% market share to do more in rail freight. So there are always the same drivers and promoters on that, but we have to, unfortunately, we have to solve more than just one project. And resources, I agree with you, resources are a topic, but what I do not like is that those who are engaged and try to sort it out for the whole European sector, they bring resources in the project, and the others are sitting on the fence and are bitching and moaning. This I feel a little bit unfair. It is completely fair to say, hey, sorry, I do not have the resources yet, fully appreciate it, no doubt. But then I would simply listen, say, okay, agreed, but I never would start bitching and moaning, hey, LINEAS, you want to be the innovative railway. If you do not join this project, what shall I believe on LINEAS? I never would argue like this. No, and this is what I also would like, that others are acting like this.
We are responsible for the sector, and if I don't have the capacity, and you said you provide the data, I can transfer responsibility over to you, and then we get it anyhow done. But again, it's a question of resources. But
the true reason is money, nothing else. Only maybe they are ashamed to say it aloud.
It is allowed to talk about that, but currently we do not know how much money we need and who has to pay what. And therefore I put this question aside for a minute, because we have some other topics to sort out first, to set priorities.
I'm slowly getting to close our debate. Sorry for it, because Jan is like, for everybody, short question and short answer, please. Imagine you are sitting on the European table with European member states, transport minister, European commissioner on Valean, and for example, commissioner for budget. What would you recommend in one sentence?
Commissioner for what? Budget, for finance.
You are in Brussels. What can you recommend? Top priority for this project on freight transport, and definitely, second answer, what should Europe not definitely do in this moment? Jan.
Good question.
You are with ministers, and this is your moment.
The good thing, digitalization. So I informed the next appointment about the delay. Wayfreight is doing that quite often. If I would be sitting there. So first of all, I'm coming from soccer, and I learned in soccer that money is not always winning the game. Mm-hmm. So we sometimes think that money solves everything.
Yes.
It doesn't.
Sometimes it's needed. It's Ronaldo not needed.
Hey, it's the fuel of the car. If you don't fuel your car, it will not run. But you also need a driver, and this is big to people. Mm-hmm. So first of all, I think wish towards that direction is, I don't want to put it that hard, but build up knowledge, deep dive in the sector, understand the sector, and don't always watch it from a too high level. We have so many expertise in the industry, use it. And I think these kind of more deeper, and your project is already taking place, but we need a much deeper interaction between high-flying decisions and low, let's say, working people, and that will help partly answering your problem. Mind shift, mindset. Second thing, I only have 3. The second thing, I got a visit some 10 years ago from an US American rail freight operator, and he was just, he wanted to learn European rail freight. And when he left, he said, you have something called the European Union, I couldn't find it. You are so fragmented, there is anything else than the European Union. Mm-hmm. This is also partly then handing over to my third point. We have to invest, and not only money, into harmonization. Our customers think global supply chains, while we think domestic railway solutions. So while we have discussions with 30, 40 people around the table and we do not agree and do something, and then again, to the European master plan above DAC, let's put money into ETCS, roll it out, get it done, boom, bang. And we have this digital platform. So I think this is really where you can take 100 million, you put the right priorities, you put it into a kind of a time schedule, and this is somehow the three-parted answer. Really understand before you spend money, don't spend money only. Do it jointly and in the right sequencing, and then again, put your money one priority after the other one, and then the DAC will receive money as well. But there's other things to do first.
Okay, thank you very much. Matthias?
Yeah, I had to time enough to think about it. So my short answer would be, dear ministers, dear Ms. Valian, please give order to those who have to execute all the plans, all the concepts which are already on the table. Mm-hmm. So the policy makers, they have already agreed, they have declared Green Deal is number one and so on. So we have a good understanding and a good acceptance on this level. But now we need execution. So the level below the high level of policy makers. And there we need more speed, we need more flexibility. And so the top politicians should give order immediately to the levels below to start execution on whichever topic. Everything would help. If they start with ETCS, no problem. We are late anyhow with that. So we have so many good ideas to improve rail freight transport. Exactly. Start where you want, but please start. Please execute. Please act. No new concepts, no new studies, not necessary.
More executive, more
thousands
governing.
Of pages written from experts. Please execute and give order to execute. We are on TV, so I cannot say such sentences.
We are free in discussion. The Chamber of Commerce is independent from governments. Veronica, what is your recommendation?
Well,
Ministers, they are there.
I would only tell them, please be careful about what you are doing, because you have to take into account the situation of the companies, of the transport companies, because we do not want to kill them when actually trying upgrading them.
Thank you very much. It was our discussion on Munich, Logistic and Transport Messe. Veronica Petrova, Jan Elfenhorst and Matthias Knüpling. Vielen Dank, děkuju.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Merci, bedankt.
Danke.